This is The Big Impact, featuring conversations with inspiring, motivational, creative, innovative, and just plain interesting people from all walks of life. Here's Bill Hobson.
Well, right off the bat, let me tell you all that in the Big Impact Name Hall of Fame, our guest today has a spot now. Hooman Montevalli is the author's name of the book called Don't Be a Crab, a practical guide to building strong, joyful relationships. And Hooman, as you and I connect today, where are you located? I'm in Michigan and you are?
Hi, hello everybody. So I'm based in Frankfurt, Germany, and it's my pleasure talking to you.
Well, I was not expecting that. I thought you were somewhere on the west side of America, and we get you overseas. What takes you over to Germany?
So yeah, actually, my wife is a doctor here in Germany, so it's a very good reason I will be here. So
Yeah.
our subject is relationships, yes, mostly the romantic relationships. Yeah, definitely, it's the reason. But yeah, normally I'm working with the guys from the States, I mean, companies, etc. Not with German culture that much.
Yeah. Well, the more I travel, and especially when you go through airports, this concept of strong, joyful relationships seems to be a fairly foreign concept because in those settings, there's not a lot of joy on the faces of the people and, the airport world and the travel world. But even beyond that, when you watch couples a lot of times or just friends hanging out with each other, that barrier between spending time together and actually having a strong, joyful relationship, it seems to be a sizable barrier. So what's the difference between having some friends or having a spouse and having a strong, joyful relationship that you're writing about?
Sure. So firstly, what I have found this far, something like 42 years or so, is I think it's been enough to say that what I have found to focus the rest of my life, what was that? So it's about inner voice. So I have not found any other things to impact or influence my actions or reactions in my lifestyle more than my inner voice mechanism inside my head. So it's for sapiens, for its very modern humankind. So it's really so fast. So maybe 100 years ago, thousands years ago, it was not so fast. So even initial humankind could not talk to himself, herself. So it was not possible because there was no experience in the history. Right now, what makes differentiation in strong, joyful relationships and also in a humanity or societies is about this mechanism. I have found this most impressive one for my life. Then I found that, okay, at every specific moment, it really affects. And then I started to share with others in the team. I'm in high-tech business. So I found that, yes, I'm a soccer team, soccer coach also. So found that in soccer teams also, players, under 23 years old is completely different from under 14. Under 14 players, they have very good relationships, but there's no trick there. So still, they have not experienced that much. They have clearer minds, more clear minds than under 24, under 23 teams, because at that time, yeah, they have some skills of, even tricks for the manager, for head coach, for the club, for everything. And yeah, with some skills, they know, most of them, they know that how to treat, but with no clear mind longer. So it starts to set some skills to not deceiving others, but affecting others in other ways. I don't say it's the wrong ways always, but in other ways. When under 14 is different. So mostly the minds are clear. they are playing together with a very pure relationship. And so when it starts when the inner voice starts talking to us, so it's to us, and we cannot recognize, or we cannot distinguish, it is me or not. So the differentiation you ask is starting from here, not distinguishing who is the listener, who is the speaker, and how this input process output fashion is working inside my head, because I'm getting a lot of input, as probably it's a faulty process, a faulty factory inside, because I'm not sure about the process. The methods there. So I'm just it's habitual. It's working all the time, non-stop. It's talking to me.
So
And
let me jump in just for a moment. I'm curious what you have found. Is it that changes in us from when we're 12 years old to when we're 30 years old? Because you're right. I can recall times with my friends in junior high where we were the happiest we ever were in all of our lives. We would hang out, we would jump in the car that mom would drive us over to where, I mean, we were inseparable with a number of friends. And then of course, here I am much older than that now. And I haven't talked to some of those folks in decades, and you lose track of them. What is it that changes in our relationships? Is it just we get older, more distractions creep in? But it would be so cool to be able to recapture that just that joyful relationship aspect that we had when we were kids.
yeah, so actually, yeah, the first point is that I make a separation between joyful and strong. So because you find out many joyful relationships, but they are not helpful. I mean, personally, or as a small society, they are not helpful for their bigger society. Or I mean, they are not helping to make a better society. So we cannot change the world, definitely, but we can affect our small society. So I see many relationships they are joyful. They have no big issues in their relationships, but still are not strong, they're not robust, they are not helping even the own children, if they have children. So it's the other guys, even in neighborhoods and environment, etc. So there is a difference. So sometimes some people have the chance to have good, joyful relationships, but still it's not enough, because they are not getting to, for example, in Germany, I see some people are getting to restaurants, clubs, and they earn enough money to live the life. Anything seems at the right track. But when you start to ask them, so what's the plan for their children? Nothing. For their societies, nothing. For environment is nothing. So because they are just living the life. So you cannot say it's a very strong, robust relationship toward the society. They have something like isolated relation. I don't mean that one. I mean, when I say that strong, joyful relationship, it means that apart from the romantic partner, you're able to make new relationships with. It's not about headhunting or talents, etc. So it's about making new relationships to have a better society. How? So I just got to the roots, and any types of roots you imagine, and found that, okay, none of them are enough deep, or deep enough to find that it's coming from where. And finally found out, okay, all the things are made up in my head, and as an output I'm doing even with my parents, with my family members, I'm doing something is not pure enough. When I say enough, I say that yes, when I'm in the comfort zone, everything is good. So nobody can know, not about skills, but nobody can know that how I would react in a disaster, for example, in a problem. So personally, yeah, I can be known as a good person, but finally I'm not influential at all in my members. So I'm just doing my jobs, And I have a to-do list. So if I can say, don't be a crab, I'm starting to not to-dos list, but always we have some to-dos list in a specific day or week or year. But we don't consider that firstly, we have to remove some fears, some actions we do or reactions we do normally. So I have a very a strong not to do's list is 10 plus 1 not to do's to remove 10 plus 1 fears, all of them in the book, to remove 10 plus 1 fears, and then you would say that your relationships or making relationships would prosper. And finally, 10 plus 1 exercises to make these types of relationships stronger and stronger. So normally, I would say that more than 99% of people, is just not about percentage, but I would say that the relationships with themselves is not a very good one. It's not a strong one. So what I do is going to be changed due to my current skills, my current situation, yeah, so forth, so on. So yeah, that's the difference. It's not started from outside of me. It's started from inside, and with 6 perspectives, I have devised a system how we can overcome these internal conversations.
You know, I'm interested, Hooman, in your story because quite often when I interview authors on this podcast or on some of the others that I host, if the conversation is centered around relationships, quite often the author will have a background in maybe counseling or sociology or those kind of fields that lead you into the psyche and in human behavior studies. I'm reading the author biography for Hooman Montevalli, thought leader, serial entrepreneur, senior business analyst, and consultant for high-level blockchain and AI software teams. That is a very different background from what we normally find in these kind of conversations. So how does the guy who thinks in terms of business and development and creativity and AI and all of these different things in the IT world, how do you make the transition, and how do you, where did you find the inspiration to even address this topic in your book?
Definitely. So I have traveled to something like 45 countries this far, and I lived in 4 countries and checked in details, not just as a tourist. So I have checked details how people live in the life across the world, and found that in just one specific thing they are complete. I mean, it's common with all of them, is that inner voice. Because with any other things, it's situational. For example, in Germany 7 years ago, the situation was like a disaster, but right now everything is good. But I mean, the situation is getting better and better, I mean, as society, but people, I mean, regarding such a thing, such a substantial thing, is it's not progressing at all, because you find that new people, yeah, they have a lot of skills in AI, artificial intelligence, etc. But everything is, it seems better, but I mean, humankind is suffering exactly like 200 years ago. So there are much more remedies and much more problems. So I found that, so the root is inner voice, and I found that in soccer teams, because when I just started to talk to players privately, as a close friend, I found that, okay, you think about your teammates in this way? I didn't know all the time. But when I got closer, I found out, okay, all the time is something in his head, is as a crap, is clowning. And I didn't know that as a coach. In tech teams also, it happened again. So in tech teams, I found out, okay, everything in the team is okay. I mean, the skills, the capabilities, etc. But why everybody is going to deliver on time and earn and take the money and go to the next level? Nobody is going to find new things here, but curiosity is different. So I mean, people at the specific project, sometimes they They wanted to flee away from that project, but I mean, delivering, getting the money, because after why they like to soccer teams, I found that okay, these teammates are just showing that they are okay all the time, but it seems that everything is okay when you are okay with everything, but they are not in this way. They have a lot of problems with the partners, the teammates, etc. But they don't show that. They don't say that because they think that it would threaten their position, their earning, etc. So with firstly with soccer sports teams, then with the tech teams, again same problem, and finally, just as a call, my father called me, and I was away. He told me that I don't feel good. I think that everything is bad. I'm dying. So I'm just said, oh, okay, no, it's not a problem. I would 2 weeks later, I would get back to you and would manage everything. I was in a hectic day. So and the day after he died, and I was completely down. I mean, so I got a stock not for 1 day, 1 week, or 1 month. It was continuing. So I was like, what's going on? I couldn't control the non-stop conversations inside my head. So I found that I'm in a jail and I cannot do anything. It was the very first time I felt that, oh, it's a very a special jail inside my head. And with all the skills, I know myself a guilty guy regarding my father case, and there is no way out of this jail. So yes, probably the time would heal this case, but I will not be the same person after that period.
Hmm.
So with all these experiences, I started to write what's going on my head. I showed to one of very close friends that I've I found such a paper from a guy. I didn't tell him that it's me. So he just said that okay, this guy has to go to a therapist immediately. He's a insane guy. So I said that it's me. It's my internal conversations. He knew me as a very normal guy, so with no problem. I mean, 2 years after my father died. So I mean, 2 years was passed. Two years passed, and then still the conversation inside my head was terrible. So yeah, I started to write more and more and found out, oh, okay, it's terrible what's going on, I mean, inside my head. So I found that this mechanism, I started to ask some questions from some labs in the United States, in Michigan. So they were working for something like 1 decade in brain mechanisms, not scientific that much, mostly psychological. And I got some very good information. Found that, for example, for 1 hour of lecture, President of the United States, you need just 3 minutes inside your head for all those that lecture, and so always is ahead. I mean, so you cannot overcome or control these types of conversations. Yeah, that's my background. And it started with team members, or teammates, or family members, and found that got stuck and cannot do anything. It's just to have to find a remedy.
Yeah, the battle within the brain, the voices, so to speak, from within our own heads, I would think can have a more dominant role than even the annoying guy next to me on the flight, right? We've got enough internal conversations that we have to work through. For some people, they will deal with that through counseling. Through some people, they'll deal with that through their faith, and for many people, they'll deal with it through a combination of all of the above. Um, you're writing about this now, but how did you kind of get yourself through those moments?
Uh, Actually, it was done step by step. Yeah. Firstly, found out there is a problem, as a common problem in societies and teams, etc. But I didn't know how to deal with it, as you said. So, what is this common? It's like a sky, I mean, galaxy, which is common for all the people on the planet. So it's you don't have any other things to say that, oh, okay, it's common with old people or existing citizens to on the planet. But in this case, again, I found that this problem is always in teams, in families, etc., is there, and I cannot do anything for that. For some moments, I found that, okay, I'm just showing that I have a solution, but really I don't have. Because I have to control or manage the teams, I mean, in sports or in high tech. I have to do that when I'm morning at the work. I have to do something. I have to show that, yes, guys, so we have to go for this project, the deadlines, the timing is blah, blah, blah. But I didn't have time to talk to team members to find their problems, I mean, their relationships. After a while, when I started to talk to them privately, in those specific moments, I found that, okay, some of them, some very specific problems that's never shared and never disclosed. Yeah. So it's very important when I'm just putting pressure on them and they don't tell me that, okay, this timing or this deadline is not proper for us, because they say that, okay, if I say that, probably he would assign this task to other guys in the company, and probably I would be hired. And with the hire and fire system in the United States, which is injecting to other parts of the world, so everybody is protecting his or her situation. So how it affects the relationships is very important, because when I am protecting all the way, the inner voice mission is also protection. Sometimes it says that, no, don't say that. Oh, you have to say that. Oh, okay, you have to report that one. Oh, always is offering something inside my head, and all the way I'm just listening, and I don't know. Sometimes I say, hey, shut up. No, stop. You can, but still I don't know who is protecting me. I am protecting that voice. That voice is protecting me. So what's going on? Yeah, the mission is protection, but most of the time it's no protection is necessary, it's needed, because we see the next moments or next days, you find out, okay, if I lose this game, or I mean this position or situation, how I have to pay my bills. So always is asking me, so, okay, just think about the 3 or 5 bills on the table. So you need that work or job. And with this, again, with this hire and fire system, definitely my inner voice is working differently from 100 years ago. So because the protection in such a world is just much more complex than before. Yeah. So that's why I say that people are suffering like 200 years ago with all the technology or any other things added to these ecosystems. So what I have found is that, okay, if I want to do something for myself, firstly, is that to devise a system, like a system is a 6 perspectives right now I have. So it's inner perspective. So I have a lot of exercises to reach the inner perspective, outer perspective. Always at any specific moment, I can see myself from outside. It took 7 years. It took 7 years of exercising, and finally, I have inner perspective, outer perspective, and situational. So I have to check all the players in the situation. Not everything is regarding me. It's mostly we are the center of the world, and our perspective is centric. So all the feeders are getting information from media, social media, etc. is a process there, a very fast process there, and definitely the output could not be healthy. It's not healthy enough, so I would say. So out of situation perspective is number 4 perspective, and then number 5 is historical, and number 6 is universal. For example, with number 5 is historical. If all the time you know that, you're aware of that, okay, 100 billion people have died throughout the history, you will find that, okay, all the ambitions, I mean, all the dreams, etc. of gone, and they have died. They have the same problems. So in this case, you'll find out, okay, in most of cases, I don't need any protection, but always it's offering something inside my head to protect something which is not necessary. So that's why if somebody offended me, some objecting at me, etc., I would be suddenly out of my comfort zone and start to react in a way without any readiness, that it seems that, okay, now it's coming from the root, and immediately the inner voice offers something to do, which mostly is wrong, because it's going to protect me. But again, in most of cases, it's not successful to protect me. Yeah.
Well, it's a different journey for everybody, right? So if I understand correctly, your book it's a practical guide. It's a framework
Yeah.
for getting you to move in the right direction, knowing that everybody has a different story and different elements to their story. Since you have done this work and since you have done this research and published the book, have you had the chance to hear from any readers who have said, "Hey, you're right on, man. That really finally gave me something to kind of as a template to kind of lay over top of my situation and help me address what I didn't think was something that could ever be addressed."
Yeah, definitely. So I have added something like 5, 6 stories to the book before getting into the markets, and um, listeners to the audiobook and also the readers will give me feedback. These 5, 6 stories could be read by listeners to this podcast. Have found that so some trainees. Because I have a training program right now, it's a triple C, converting confusion into clarity. I'm a confusion trainer because I think that most of the problems right now, even the wars, battles across the world, are coming from some leaders, and those decisions are coming from inner voice again. So we have not treated our inner voice throughout the history. So with those 5, 6 stories with trainees, you will find that, for example, with one case, she missed her son in a very bad accident, so she couldn't come back to the normal life. It was not possible. Even she was not asking for any help. I am not a psychologist, definitely. So I'm just pointing out these mechanism inside our heads, but mostly for the guys who are looking for such a solution. So in that case, it was very difficult to, because the other guys who introduced this lady to me, they were insisting to do something, but it was I was asking them, okay, she has to go to therapist and psychologist, etc. They told me that, okay, all been done. So with therapists, with psychologists, there is no remedy for this case. All the day, all the time, she's thinking about memories with her son, etc. And we cannot do anything in this regard. So I just invited her to my place for just 5 minutes of time, and she rejected, and I had to get there and behind the door, knocking the doors several times. She didn't accept me. Finally, she said, okay, what? Just 5 minutes. And in 5 minutes, thanks to God, it was, yeah, it happened. So just said that, okay, I'm not talking about your case, your son, your accident, nothing. It's not my business. It's none of my business. I'm just going to talk with you if you want to live the life or not. She said that, no, I don't want to live longer, but I have to do something with my husband and some other guys, and then uh, something like I would do suicide, etc.
Hmm.
I said that, okay, but from the time you have from here to suicide, you can do something for others specifically, or very special, even for your husband, for other people. Because when you say suicide, your husband is suffering. So how you want to help him or other people? So finally, we found out, okay, a bit of interest in her to find what is this mechanism inside, right? And after 6 months of working, because I finally convinced her to work on this period. I mean, from this time of speaking by the time of suicide, what we can do for her mission. Her mission was helping others. I mean, doing some jobs or duties, etc. And finally with suicide, because she cannot tolerate this world longer. All the things. And yeah, finally we found out, okay, today she has read my book also. She's a very good case for your question, because he was a reader of the book and was a trainee before writing the book, etc. So finally, something like 5% after, I mean, the first level is observer. If we don't observe ourselves, out of ourselves and also inside, we cannot do anything for even ourselves, apart from the society or family, etc. I mean, something special, something it's decreasing I mean, practically. So right now, she's a very good observer at level YEK. At level 1, she is very good observer at in internal conversations. Also, number 2, she's a very good analyzer, like me, myself, is very good analyzer of what's going on in the head. Number 3 is distinguisher. Always she knows that why this inner voice is offering to think about the memories and reviewing all the memories with her son just died. So you see that when she finds with 100 billions of died in the historians, I mean perspective number 5, and many of them were children, 5 years old, 10 years old in world wars, etc. So number 4, after being a very good distinguisher between a listener and a speaker inside our head, then finally we can be a good manager of our system. I mean, all the body, all what's going on in mind. And finally, you would be a true server at level 5. A true server, which means that, okay, I am serving others truly, because if I'll not be a very good manager of my mind, it's not possible. As you see in many parts of the world, people are following money, following their own ambitions, and never they are looking for any true services. So even top companies right now, how many persons of them, I mean, are offering true services? Mostly something is finally damaging for our society. So finally, I mean, sometimes it's the current situation, no, but if you check deeply, you find out, oh, okay, finally in the future, for the AI systems I'm working, personally, I know that many of them, I would say most of them, at the end of the day would be damaging. So number 6, and finally after being through servers is with the alchemist. If someone were an alchemist for the society, I mean, even very small societies, it's not possible without being a very good observer of ourselves. So we started the book with being a very good observer of internal conversations, and then we analyze everything. There are a lot of exercises there. And with such a very complex case like that lady, we were successful. And yes, after reading the books, because it was just in the market in September 23, and it takes a lot of time. Many readers across the world would read it and give feedback. But thus far, we have received a lot of feedback. So it has helped people, I mean, with exercises practically, not in the theory. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and that's what you set out to do, right? You wanted to make a difference for people, and I don't know if anybody has ever tried to put their thoughts or their passions into book form, but it's not something that happens super easily, right? So, from the time you had the idea for the book until the time that it was hot off the presses and you were holding a copy in your hands, how long did that take?
So there was a guy from the States, from Austin, Texas, as a trainee in my training sessions. Another guy introduced him to my program. He came. He was a very good guy. So after a while, I found he's was pushing me to write a book. So he was saying that these concepts or exercises should be a book finally. I said that I'm not an author, so I'm terribly busy. It's not my job. And finally, I found that okay, this guy is working in a very famous editorial team and also in a publishing house. So I thought, oh, okay. So that's why you say, yes, I will do everything for you. Ready? Just start to write, and I will give it to some professional guys to review, and so you can write every day. So just for half an hour, and after 1 week, 2 weeks, you just bring it to me, or even after 1 month. And yeah, we started. So it started again from a trainee, which this training program was very helpful for him. And it's my pleasure that this book. It was not my idea. It was the idea with the guy who has used this program successfully. And yep, it's right now is his comment is on Amazon below of my book page. It's okay, this book has changed my life. So yeah, I think it's not enough. It's a long way. I have to do many other things, but still, I think the base of all I want to do in the future is this inner voice mechanism.
Well, it's a fascinating concept for sure. The book is called Don't Be a Crab, a practical guide to building strong, joyful relationships. And you can find it everywhere books are found. We have a link for you in the podcast notes. And Hooman Motevalli, it's a fascinating, your resume is fascinating in and of itself. And to see you pour yourself into helping other people is really very cool. So thank you for sharing a bit of your story and that insight. And now we'll hope that our audience checks out the book.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure talking to your listeners.